Hello, Internet. This is Whispering Whim bringing you another grocery haul today. It will be a little smaller than usual. I'll be out of town for part of this month, and next month is going to be even crazier. So I didn't want to overbuy, which I do have a habit of doing. And we actually have a lot of leftover snacks from not last month, but 2 months ago when I was doing the camping grocery haul. So I really tried to condense what I got. Just as a life update. So September, I go Labor Day weekend. I'm going down to Sacramento to do an anime convention, Sac Anime. I'm not sure if this video will go up before or after that trip. I'm busily trying to restock my whole store, right? Because September's not too bad show-wise, but I get married the first weekend in October, and then I have 3 shows in a row as soon as I get back from my honeymoon. So I agreed that up until Labor Day weekend, I would focus on all my art stuff. And then when I get back from that show, I'm going to just focus on wedding stuff. So I won't be able to restock. Anyways, let's jump in to the actual groceries here before I go on to too many tangents. But suffice to say, smaller trip, and if I do an October video, it'll probably also be a really small trip. We'll see if I can squeeze one in. Anyways, here we have some granola type bars. They have 2 flavors in here: Madagascar vanilla, almond and honey. That sounds tasty. And then dark chocolate and cherry. They're not very high in protein, which is kind of a mark against them. But I'm going to be doing that show in Sacramento, and I'm going to pack our lunches because it's going to be me, my sisters-in-law, future sisters-in-law, there we go, and my mother-in-law. The sisters also have a table at the convention, so we're going to split the hotel room, and I don't like spending $100 every day on food because Sacramento is very expensive. So I'm gonna pack lunches for the girls just like I do for my fiance. They actually love it when I do that. I've done it in the past, and they're just like, "Oh man, my brother is so spoiled," and I'm like, "Yeah, kind of is." So here is some Rice Krispie treats to put in their lunches. And then this I'm kind of annoyed by. So before I picked up these granola bars, and this is a new brand, so I'm really interested in trying it. But before I had seen that, I picked up this. And this is kind of a go-to, better than trail mix kind of a thing. Got some omega fatty acids and stuff in there, right? But, even though there's technically 2 flavors, they taste exactly the same. So they're not as entertaining as they could be. But, good for lunches, and I figured, trail mix type thing will be useful to have on our trip. So I grabbed this, and then I ran across those granola bars, and I'm like, ooh, I'm going to swap out the trail mix for the granola bars because that sounds more interesting, the flavor combination. So, at first, I was just gonna set this where I found the granola bars, but I know that's kind of mean for the retail people who have to go clean up the whole store. So I left it in my cart and I'm like, I'm gonna just swing back around in that area and I'll drop it off all proper. And then I forgot to do that. And it wasn't until I had actually scanned the bag that it registered that I didn't want that. And then I was thinking about it and I did not, like, it was not worth it to me to, what's the word? Call over the cashier and get it taken off. And oh, that's always such a mess. It doesn't go bad, so we'll be fine. I just, that was an extra $12 I could have spent somewhere else. All right, let's get into this big thing, which was very exciting for me to find. Let's see if I can lift it up here. 24 pack of Spindrift seltzer water. So this is the regular kind of seltzer water, not the alcoholic seltzer water, which I would be more likely to drink. I'm taking a little break from the alcohol. I had some infections and they said that, too much alcohol can increase your risk for that. So I'm taking a little break. And so I've been drinking just regular seltzer water. And there's lots of brands, and I've tried lots and lots of brands. This one is hands down my favorite, which is unfortunate. Normally in the grocery store, it is like $6 for an 8-pack. Sometimes I can find it on sale for $5, but very rarely. Even at Walmart, it's like a $6 thing for just, one regular 6-pack. Anyways, Sam's Club now carries Spindrift, and while lime and grapefruit aren't my favorite flavors, it was still $12 for 24 cans. That's significantly cheaper. It's like getting a whole 8-pack for free. So I had just gone down, because they did not stock these in the past. So I had just gone down there on a whim to see what kind of water selection they had, because I figured I was going to get a seltzer water from Sam's Club for the wedding, regardless of what kind of brands they had available. And then I saw this was there and I was like, hallelujah, problem solved. And then in here is a rotisserie chicken. And I've already kind of snacked on it a little bit. The skin on these things, they're only, it's really tasty when the chicken is fresh. But once the chicken cools down, it's never quite the same again. So I confess, I ate all the chicken off the top, or all the skin off the top of the chicken. Right before the video, I was like, it's gonna cool down, and I want to have it at peak, flavor town. So that's me being silly. Moving right along, we've got some little to-go containers. I had some Tupperware containers that were separated out like this. This is kind of like a food prep sort of thing. And that's what, it's been 2 years since we've done this Sacramento show. But last time I used, it had kind of like 3 sections. A little different than this, but anyways. To sort of just say, okay, this is Friday's lunch. This is, Saturday's lunch, and this is Sunday's lunch. And it was all, together. So it's kind of easy for us to grab it and go. Because what typically happens is that I have 2 sisters-in-law. One of them is the artist, and one of them just loves anime and whatnot. So the non-artist sister will go between our areas and grab food, deliver it, bathroom breaks, whatever. It's actually a pretty good system. I just wish it wasn't such an expensive show to do. But anyways, it's easier on her if we just have, one of these for each day, and then she can just grab it and not worry about, portioning it out. She's they're both they're wonderful, wonderful people, but sometimes they don't adult very well, and they confess that they know, and they joke around that between the three of them, the two sisters and my fiance, that they make a whole person. Because that's the level of responsibility that they take on. Okay, let's keep going. Next up, we have some disposal cleaner. My fiance actually does the dishes most of the time, which is good. Or at least the dinner dishes. Sometimes I end up still doing breakfast and lunch, but those are easier dishes. But he never runs the disposal unless the water is like physically bubbling up. And I don't think to go back behind him and run it just real quick so it gets some buildup, because it's usually 2-3 nights worth of food before he even notices that it's getting clogged. So I go in, and every time I've remembered that he hasn't remembered, I go ahead and just plop in a disposal cleaner, and that helps kind of regulate the system. Okay. Next up, we have some olives for our little lunches that I'm going to make for me and the girls. Usually I put a bunch of carrots in there. Carrots keep well. They are the sister's favorite vegetable, but I cannot currently chew them because of the braces. Carrots are they're way too rough. So this will be my vegetable instead. They're nice little individual containers, and I'll be able to plop one in and, not worry about it too much. Next up, we've got some deluxe bagels. Sara Lee, always thinking all their products are deluxe, I think. But this is cinnamon raisin flavor, and this will be my guys' breakfast while I'm out of town. I'll be gone for 4 whole days. It's a 3-day convention, so we'll drive down on Thursday, and then we'll come back on Monday. Yeah, so he'll be all on his lonesome, and he doesn't like that. Okay, and then finally, for that bag, we have some little individual peanut butters. This is also a purchase for the show. My sisters-in-law, it's too much. I'm just going to call them my sisters. They're not very big, eat every meal kind of people. It's very strange to me, but they'll eat once a day, and they swear up and down that that's all they really want or need. However, if food is there in front of them, they will eat it. They'll eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner if someone puts a plate in front of them. They're like, oh yeah, I could eat. It's very weird that I could eat. They just, I don't know, they're interesting. But moral of the story is that in the morning when we're running down to the show, I won't be able to here is breakfast. I mean, I could buy donuts and stuff, but I don't want to have that amount of sugar around, honestly, just because, I got my my first alterations appointment last week, so no gaining weight at this point. I could afford to lose a little bit, but no more gaining weight. So I'm planning on just throwing that peanut butter in my con kit, separate from the food stash. So in the morning, in between setup and when lunch happens, I can just have some peanut butter. One little packet of peanut butter doesn't sound very filling, but that's already 190 calories. It's got fat, carbohydrates, 7 grams of protein. So, in a crunch, peanut butter really is kind of a all-inclusive meal. As long as you drink it with a lot of water is my tip. If you're like dieting and you're not using like slim fast shakes or something like that that kind of artificially makes you feel full with having a lot of filler material, which is gross, then eat something small and make sure you drink a lot with it. And it usually, in my case, makes me feel like I've gotten close to a real meal. Granted, later on in the day, I want real food, so it's not a permanent solution, but it'll work for breakfast. Okay, so final thing on the counter before I clear this out and get the refrigerator stuff, which the refrigerator must have known that it was time because it's running right now. And last video, you guys swore up and down that sound didn't bother you, and I have my doubts, but it would be a whole lot easier if I always left the fridge on. I have forgotten to turn it back on after a video like 5 or 6 times. I mean, that's over the course of 4 years or however long I've been doing this for, but every time it's such a disappointment. I've only had to throw out food once though. I usually catch it quick enough. Okay, anyways. Last but not least is some iced tea. I've been drinking less coffee, actually. So normally for a convention like this, I would pick up like those little Starbucks shot cans. And I did get them for my last show, which was just a little tiny like charity event. But anyways, I got them and I realized, because I had been drinking less coffee at home, that, it was nice to have more caffeine, but, it's more sugar. I don't know. I just realized that was something that would be easy for me to cut out between now and the wedding. So no sugary coffee, and sadder, no Monsters. Those are my go-to, like, I need a little extra pep in my step kind of drink, but none of that. So just iced tea and coffee in the morning, but after that, just iced tea. Okay, moving right along to cooler stuff. We've got our half and half, ever classic coffee and cream kind of situation. We have some grapes, and I am curious. I hope these are a good batch of grapes. Not only does the mask make it hard to sneak in a sample, but they also had this little band on it, to help discourage people from grabbing one, which honestly makes sense. But grapes are one of those things, when you get a sour batch, it's like the worst thing in the world. Not in the whole world. That's a bit of an exaggeration, but it's not fun. So I'm gonna find out right now. Well, that's not a bad batch. They're actually very firm, but they're still sweet, which is probably the ideal grape texture. Right now with the braces, I would prefer if they were slightly mushy, but only by a little bit. These will be great. And those are going to be our fruit for the lunches. There we go. Boy, I'm really at a loss for regular words today. It's weird. Next up, we have some Irish butter. I was kind of excited. This is new from Sam's Club, or at least I didn't see it before. These are the little sticks of butter. Oh no, they're the regular size. Okay. Oh, well, that's a little less sad. A little less good. But anyways, this brand at the supermarkets is $6 or $7 for a single box. And at Sam's Club, I got 3 boxes for $8. So I could definitely find cheaper butter, but I really enjoy having quality butter around. I feel like it makes a difference when I cook or when I put it on something. So I'll buy Kerrygold. Land O'Lakes is another good brand. I think those are my 2 favorite. There's one other that I use. I think Challenge might be the other brand that I use. But at any rate, this is what? A total of 1.5 pounds of butter. This should last us a little while. I hope. Butter is very calorie dense. Okay. Finishing off that particular bag, we have some more of that broccoli cheddar soup. This was actually pretty tasty. I got it last month when I went to Sam's Club, and you know, lots of soups because of my braces. And funny enough, they have these little carrots. They're like matchstick carrots. They're not very thick or big or anything, but they're still firm. So those can be a little bit of a challenge, but the sensitivity is going down. It was getting way down, but then I lost a bracket up in here. So I had to go in for an adjustment. Well, I had to go in before my adjustment just to get the bracket fixed. And he's like, yeah, while you're in here, we're just going to pop in a stronger wire. And I was like, do we have to? And he's like, no, and I wouldn't normally push it this much, but I wanted your teeth to be as close to straight by the wedding as possible. Because, you know, he's on board for taking the top part off right before the wedding and then rebonding it after the wedding. So he's more determined for me to have a good smile than I am. But I can appreciate that. It's kind of nice that he cares. But anyways, it just means that my chewing capabilities have been pretty minor, even though they are getting better. If that makes any sense. Okay, back to groceries. I've got some broccoli here. It's been a couple of months since I've had this, found this while I was shopping. Sam's Club carries this. It's a pre-chopped mix. It's a good old 2 pounds of broccoli. And you'd think that that would be a lot of broccoli, but it really isn't. I put it in so many dishes. I'll honestly probably get more broccoli before the end of the month, but it's not something that keeps for super, super long, so there's no reason to buy 2 bags at the same time, right? Okay. We're almost to the end already here, so I apologize for the shortness of this video, but it's kind of good for me because then I can move on and get back to making all that stuff. Anyways, we got some cheese. These are going to be for our snacky lunch type deal, and to go with the cheese, we've got some salami, and this is a 2-pack. It's probably more than what we need, but you know, at Sam's Club, you do what Sam's Club does. And then last but not least, for my cooler bag, we've got our good old bag of carrots. So this is 3 pounds of carrots, and this will keep surprisingly long. I think I've used, like, I don't know what's in this magical water. There's always water in this brand. There has to be something in the water because these last like 3 weeks. I think I've used them for like a month later once. And they weren't the best quality by then, but it's weird that something that's pre-peeled and chopped and fresh, right, would last that long in the refrigerator, but they do. Okay, so we're on to our freezer bag, and it only has 3 items in it. How crazy is that? It's weird. First up, we have some cheese-filled breadsticks. So my guy has been eating less of the freezer bread because he wants to look his best for the wedding too. And normally I was giving him like 2 pieces, whether it was the garlic knots or the breadsticks or the Texas toast. We've done all the varieties of freezer bread in this household. But I usually shy away from the cheese-filled ones just because they are a bit decadent. And if he was going to get 2 pieces, I'd have to buy like 20 boxes of these things. But now that he is kind of, limiting his bread intake along with me, I figured why not upgrade him to some mozzarella breadsticks. They're probably only going to be like yay big, I bet. But, it'll be fun. It'll be a good change of pace because, like I said, he's gotten every kind of freezer bread. If I start eating bread again, I always imagined it that right after the wedding, I'd go back and eat all the things, bread and pasta and, cheesecake and just go crazy. And I'll probably ease up a little bit, but I might not go too crazy. I could definitely stand to continue losing weight, from a health perspective. And I don't know. I'm getting worried about myself, to put it bluntly. I had kind of mentioned in the beginning of the video that I've been getting some infections and, just all over, different types of little mild, very mild infections, but ones that a normal healthy body shouldn't really be getting, is the impression I'm getting. So once I'm on my new insurance, because I do have insurance right now, but it's a very low level state funded program, I'm going to change my primary doctor because my fiance's insurance is significantly better than what I have. Get a different doctor because I don't like my doctor. And maybe start exploring, see if there's something else going on. Probably not. 90% of the time I feel fine, but I'm really tired of being on antibiotics and antifungals and all of those things. They're not fun. So anyways, that was probably a little TMI, but you guys are like, you're definitely friends. You're almost like family at this point, right? We've been having these conversations for years now. So I feel like it's okay to tell you guys these things. Probably shouldn't, but yeah. Anyways, let's move on to the groceries. We gotta stay on track. We have some diced avocados. So these are gonna be for my smoothies. The protein blend that I had used, got last month actually works pretty well as a, way to boost the sugar smoothie into something slightly closer to a reasonable health drink, right? It's still a little sugary. But if I can it's hard to find these sometimes actually. But if I can throw these in, that adds a lot of good fat, just a teeny weeny bit of protein on its own, potassium. So these are great little smoothie fodder. I don't mind that it adds kind of almost a grassy after effect. but it's not very strong. I just kind of think of it as herby instead of grassy, and I'm fine. So, and then finally, our last item. Our last item seems to always be the frozen vegetables. And this time it is just one lonely little bag of asparagus stir-fry blend. I have definitely been getting a little over baconed, I think. I was sauteing in bacon like everything, including, the frozen vegetables. That's what I usually do with them. Not always, but usually. So we're gonna just not have bacon for like 2 weeks straight because I'm getting a little over it. So that just leaves us with our shout outs. Let's go ahead and pick out a few good names here. We've got a lot of consistent people who pretty much comment almost every month. Like Apple Tree, Victosia K, Wicca Banks, Chubarino Whispers, Emir Kelly, and let's see here, Super A Jules, just to name a few. There's more of you, quite a few of you. Out there making my day, adding comments. Most people were, how do I put it, very supportive of me, turning on the AC and the refrigerator and just going crazy with the background noise. I did not turn on the AC today because that one never turns off once you put it on. Our AC is kind of weird. It just blows air forever. And sometimes it gets really cold, like unreasonably cold. And then sometimes it doesn't get cold at all. It very rarely does the middle ground. And I don't know what rhyme or reason it chooses to do that, because I've played with the thermostat. We've lived in this same apartment. Goodness, I think going on 5 years now. 5 years. And every summer I try to figure out a method to the madness. There is none. But anyways, the fridge cycles on and off, and obviously it turned off, and I'm enjoying the silence. I am a silence person. Like, I work from home, and I spend about half of my day with nothing on. No radio, no television, podcasts, just complete quiet, other than, footsteps on my roof or people driving in the parking lot, right? And I need a few hours like that every day. I'm a much happier person when I get my quiet time. And then I'll turn on the radio, usually in the afternoon, right before my fiance gets home for the early evening, late afternoon time frame. Because he likes noise. He grew up in a household where the TV was always on, right? So what I wanted to do, though, because honestly, this is just like filler material at this point. But before I say goodbye, I'm going to actually pull out a few of my felted things that I'm going to be taking to Sacramento this weekend. So hold on for just one sec. All right, I grabbed as much as my little arms carry, and that's all I'm going to do for show and tell today. First up, some snails. I make the eyeballs myself, and these are a really good seller. That little tiny show that I did, the charity event I did like 2 weeks ago, overall it wasn't very good. But one dude, one single customer, swooped in and bought all my snails and all my donuts, so I had to make more. These donuts, man, apparently they're, I mean, I think they're cute, but they're even better than I think, because I keep selling a whole bunch of donuts. One of my listeners here on YouTube actually has a entire dozen of donuts. She went to my shop, and, or rather, she follows me on Instagram and saw them and then just kept buying them. So they're cute. You know, they got the eyeballs and the emotions and stuff. But it's kind of challenging to keep these in stock. I've probably made like, I don't know, maybe 30 donuts so far this year. And that's on top. I make a lot of things. I sell a lot of the little stuff. Okay, and then I have these. These were actually relatively popular too. They're kind of a more expensive item though, so I don't sell them quite as much as the donuts. But you know, they're cute little serpent dragon type deals. They have a wire in them, so they are posable, right? And they're all made from real wool. Like this is felt, but this is genuine wool felt, not the stuff you find in the craft store. And there is a little magnet on this guy, and the whole idea is that you find a good little spot for him, and you can clip him down and kind of adjust everything, and you've got a little friend to hang out on your shoulder. And these tend to do pretty decently at anime shows, so I'm trying to get a whole bunch of these guys made. But they're very time consuming. So this is real felt, and it's not sewn in and it's not glued in, it's felted in. So if I were to like kind of crack open here, you see how it's all the same material. That just means that I take the little scales, I cut them out, and then I take the loose wool and I poke for, you know, like 6 hours straight. And this happens. I mean, there's a little more to it, but not much more than that. Okay, I think that helped add at least 5 minutes. I always want the videos to be, you know, at least long enough to genuinely relax and drift off a bit. Because when they're super short, then you have to find another video, and I think that, like, you know, kind of takes you out of it just a little bit. Or if you have videos on autoplay and like one has a different bass volume than the other, I try to keep mine very consistent, but I don't know. I don't know if it's my recording equipment or if I just talk at a lot of different levels. I mean, that's probably part of it. A funny story. So, you know, I talk for these. It's not a funny story. It's just a little quick, but I talk for these, and it's more of a natural talk, right? I try not to get super whispery, because there's plenty of people who whisper, and also whispering's not really great for your vocal cords to do over and over again. So I just do sort of, you know, mild, calm kind of, you know, thing. But that is actually not my normal voice. I'm actually a very loud person. I grew up in a household where you didn't really get heard unless you talked over people, right? And I'm trying to get away from that, but I do notice that if I get excited or if I'm with rambunctious people, my volume goes up, right? So I think in a smaller extent, I do that with the videos, right? Depending on how flustered I am, you know. Today's video has just been, it flew by super easy, like probably the average amount of recording time, a little less, but I don't know, like there hasn't been like weird people in the parking lot or a lot of thumping around upstairs. It's been a very like smooth, even ride, so I'm like easily in the mellow zone. Okay, that is way more rambling than I intended to do. I love you all, and I hope you have a wonderful night. Bye bye.